everybody, welcome back into my YouTube channel, How to Retire Affordably in Belize. My name is Belize, and this is going to be episode 4. By the way, just between you and me, this is the second time I'm shooting it this morning because I messed up with the audio on the first one, so I had a whole thing, but only lip readers would have been able to enjoy it. Okay. True confessions are now over. All right, so I think I told you before, we have a place here in Belize, and we also live in Naples, Florida. So we go back and forth. And every time somebody in Naples, Florida hears that we have a place in Belize, they pepper me with a bunch of questions. So I thought it would be fun to do as episode 4, the most frequently questions I get about Belize. Okay, here we go. By the way, if you have questions in the future, you can write it through this YouTube channel and I'll answer them for you. All right, number one question, almost universally asked when they find out I have a place here. They say, how's the crime in Belize? And I say, well, let me ask you this, how's the crime in the United States? And they're like, well, kind of depends. Exactly. There are places in the United States that are that I would not want to go. Chicago, Washington, D.C., some of the big cities. So usually they say, okay, yeah, I get it. I understand. Now, that being said, I'll go a little bit deeper into a better answer. We feel very, very safe here. We feel safe on this peninsula. It's 24 miles from the mainland to the very end. But even when you go on the websites in Belize and they say, ask about crime, there's areas they're going to want you to avoid. The two areas they really want you to avoid. Number one would be anywhere in the southern part of Belize City. I talked about Belize City in an earlier episode, and it is the most populous city in the entire country. And usually that's where the crime is in any country, where the most people are. So I would avoid South Belize City, and then any town that's really close to the border with border crossing, because that's usually where, if there's going to be illegal drug smuggling or people targeting tourists, I don't know, but those areas are the ones that I would worry about. And if the last thing I'll say about the crime, because again, it's not a problem at all, ever. But the other thing that I would say, if you are the ugly American who's constantly over-tipping, showing your money to everybody in the country, then you're just inviting a pickpocket or somebody to distract you and take your money. That's on you. That's not on Belize. But that's it. Crime really not an issue for us. Number 2. And again, it's literally in the order people ask me these questions. So, how about the government corruption? And I say, again, so how's the corruption in the government of the United States? And they're like, yeah, that's a good point. Now, what I will say for both countries, do we have a lot of corruption in our government? 100%. Do they have some here? Yes. To the extent that we see it in the United States, absolutely not. The biggest scandal, I think there was the Minister of Lands, who was doing some illegal things to some realtors that were selling property they didn't have. But no, I don't see government corruption. Now the government moves slowly, and I talked about that. It's getting better and better and better, including things like going to the DMV. But no, not worried about the government corruption. Grocery stores. It's funny, when people asked me that the first time, I thought, I mean, I've never really thought about it, but then I remembered Judy and I initially had a place in Costa Rica, and getting to a grocery store was a big deal because we flew into an international airport that was about 2 hours from our home. It was a place that had like a huge, almost like a Walmart type of store. So we would go, all the things we needed for our trip, would drive there, and then when we came back, but here they're plentiful. The road, that may be 200 yards from the main road to where I'm sitting, there's a brand new grocery store right there. If you take a look at the whole peninsula, we're about midway down. Down 3 miles, another big grocery store we frequent a lot. If you go down into the village of Placencia, there's probably 5 or 6 grocery stores there. Not going to be any problem. You're going to get pretty much anything that you want. And they're getting more and more things that Americans want because we have a lot of influence in what we buy. So no problems with that. This is another one. And I guess it was one of those things because I didn't think it was a thing anymore. But somebody said, like, how about the water? Can you drink the water? Do you feel safe drinking the water? I'm like, yeah. And I don't know how old you are. I'm 65, thus the retiree. But I remember growing up, it was like, watch out if you go to Mexico, Montezuma's revenge, diarrhea from drinking the water. They have different microbes in their water than we have in our water, and I guess that could be a thing. But in this day and age, if you're going to a grocery store, in fact, if you're buying ice, that water's been filtered. If you have a refrigerator, you have a water filter. If you're really concerned about it, and they have plenty of bottled water, so there's really no problem. But if you're concerned about it, and we weren't really concerned about it, but because of Judy's health issues back in the day, by the recommendation of her surgeon, he talked about a Berkey water filter. So we do that for our coffee, our tea, and things like that. We don't have any problem. So yes, you can drink the water. Health care, this is a big one. That's always in the conversation because as people are getting older, they're like, well, I'm in a different country. How's the health care? What can I do? Basically, every country is usually where they have an international airport. And of course, Belize has an international airport. Most times, anywhere in the world that you have that, they require very close by a level 1 trauma center. So if somebody has a heart attack or whatever, you have access very quickly there. Now, do we have that exactly where we are? No, right here now we can. No, we would either have to get on that puddle jumper and go about 15 minutes to Belize City where they have the level 1 trauma center. Or if we feel like it's not urgent and we need health care back in the States, it's an 1.5-hour flight to get from Belize City to Miami. 1.5 to 2 depending upon prevailing winds. But I thought I will add something else to this just because it's a wrinkle that I found out because we do have Medicare, both Judy and me. We have Medicare. I better say Judy and I. She'll get me on the Judy and me thing. But anyway, when I was getting my Medicare, which I got February of this year, and the agent who gave us the Medicare, we had a question. Okay, well, what happens because we're traveling a lot? If you go on a cruise or we're going to be in Belize for a while, what do you do about how do you pay? And he said, well, that's not a problem. Now, and I'm not if they're all like this. We bought a supplemental plan of some sort. But he said, all you do, if you go to a clinic, maybe you even had to get stitches. I went to a dentist to get the tooth fairy. I had a little ache, and I had them take a X-ray. So he said, all you do is save your receipts when you bring them to me back there, and you get reimbursed. I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing. So that's kind of cool. Okay, we covered, oh no, we didn't cover one thing that I wanted to cover a little bit, because people do ask this question a lot as well. And because they meet us, they know we have a place down here, we also build a place, they say, so what's the construction cost? How's the building there? So number one, I say, if you're gonna build like a simple, one-story home, probably figure on $150 a square foot. We did 3 stories, so ours was a little bit more per square foot. We did a lot of extras. We put an elevator in our home. But the builder, and how long did it take? That's the other thing. Figured about the same as it would in the States. Took us about 2 hours to build this three-story concrete and rebar. It ain't going anywhere. But what was I was talking about? Oh, builders. Okay. I can recommend 4 builders in Belize. Number 1, Tom Hudson. Number 2, Tom Hudson. Number 3, Tom Hudson. Number 4, Tom Hudson. Now, obviously, I'm saying he's the only guy. And he's not the only builder, he's the only builder that I would use. We found him much by accident. He worked in commercial and residential real estate in Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area for 30 years. There's nothing this guy hasn't seen. There's nothing he can't build. And he is simply the best. When we first met him, by accident, we were looking around the lots and we saw this lot that you're looking at. And I said, if that's available, I'm going to buy that. So we bought that. And he came running out from the construction trailer. Long story short, he built this residential. It's called the Saba Beach Residences, but he has a resort called Saba Beach Resort across. He built from sand to one of the hottest resorts on the peninsula, all in 2.5 years. He has cabanas, he has apartments, he has long-term, he has short-term, he has a restaurant. Tom Hudson's the only guy that I'd recommend. I'll give you his information later, because later he's going to be doing he's almost done with both projects he did. And he lives here in this area too, so if you ever need him, he's here. He's going to be doing a new thing, a neighborhood around a farm. It's not available for buying lots yet. I'll let you know when it is. It's going to be very affordable Belizean living, whether if you want to live here full-time or part-time. It's going to be incredibly affordable, and it's going to be all intertwined with a farm. So you're going to have built-in food security, because you will get preferential prices from the farm. I'll talk about that more later, and then I'll give you all the information. And that's going to do it for the frequently asked questions episode. If you find that you have more questions that you'd like to ask, remember, first subscribe, because when you're a subscriber, you can contact me. Remember, please, subscribing doesn't cost you anything, it's free. It just means you'll get notified when I do these videos. So if we have more questions, I'll be happy to answer them directly to you. And then next week, I think the episode I want to do will be the qualified retired person. I think it's time that we get to that one. All right, remember, if you do like this content, please give me a like and do subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.